Alex here with a high conflict child custody video on conflict deprivation. This is not going to be a video on how to cause that. More so, I'm going to explain sort of the effects of depriving your high conflict ex of conflict. And I mean, I wish I could do a single video on explaining how conflict deprivation works, but it's really something that you can figure out just by following all of the advice of all the videos on the channel. Each video that I have published deals with either managing your high conflict ex or mitigating the conflict. I mean, focusing on the solution, which is a solution that is not a conflict solution. From the advice in the video right of refusal to the advice and how to deal with the conflict in the video failure to agree. It's the entire channel gives advice on how to either deal with it or reduce it. This video was intended to cover what happens when you follow the advice and when the court obviously doesn't get in your way. And that's just something that we can't control as well. If you are doing everything that you're supposed to do, you should eventually start to stand out to the court as the person who's trying to do the best they can for the kids. But some of the judges are so incompetent that you're just not even going to get that far, and that it's disappointing. And I talk about this problem in the video, giving up, and it's you should seriously watch that video. It's not a clear-cut video. It's not what you think. It goes into sort of the all three dimensions of the problem of just hitting walls you can't get through. But anyway, I didn't want to talk about that too much in this video. I already have a video on that topic. Several of my viewers have stated that everything is going well for them, but their ex is getting worse. And I talk about how to deal with that problem. In the video, fighting makes it worse, but I don't explain why it happens. And I hope that this video gives people some insight. Usually my videos propose a solution. Some of my videos, rare as they are, just explain what's wrong and kind of leave it to you to figure it out. I'm kind of doing this backwards because I've put all of the tools and the solutions out there ahead of time, but I haven't really explained why this happens, why they go into the cycle of revenge, why they get worse inevitably. And yeah, before I go into explaining this, please take a look at the video, Fighting Makes It Worse, because I do explain how to deal with what I'm about to go into. And I actually did it in my own case too, so it's not like I'm just saying what to do without having done it myself. All of the advice in all of my videos I have actually done myself or observed other people doing, and most of it is me having done it myself. And this problem that I'm about to go into is covered in that video, Fighting Makes It Worse. But anyway, the problem is that the high conflict ex isn't getting what they need. Take note that I didn't say they aren't getting what they want. It's what they need to survive. Their identity, as I've mentioned in a number of videos, grafts onto external things. They don't generate this self-esteem or their sense of worth from inside. They don't generate their sort of what they define themselves to be isn't from some sort of internal source. It's by attaching themselves to these causes, to these external things. And in your case, if you're going through a high conflict custody case, your high conflict ex has unfortunately grafted their identity or defined themselves by the case itself, the fight, the conflict. They see themselves either as the savior of the child, or they see themselves as some sort of victim in this plot, like a David versus Goliath. Either they're losing and they see themselves as David and they need to take on this gigantic system, and they're suffering and they're hurting and they need allies, or they're winning and they're the hero in the story and they need allies. It's all about how they have made themselves out to be this conflict, this inanimate thing. It's not even an object. It's just this ideal, this delusion that they've come up with. And when it's not working out for them, when not only are they losing, but they're not really getting to generate the conflict that they want to generate, they go bananas. They go crazy. Some people have noticed this, especially people who've gone through high conflict litigation for years. They'll tell me how, and this happened in my case too, they'll tell me how in the beginning their ex was like this mastermind pulling all the strings, and while they were crazy, they were the crazy person, they made it look like they were completely calm and collected, like they were the reasonable, rational one. And they, the targeted victim, they were just a total basket case because everyone was just unable to see what they'd gone through, unable to see the abuse that their ex was causing, not just to them, but the child. And it drove them nuts. And over time, and again, this happened in my case too, it's not just the people who talked to me. Over time, over the years, they started to figure things out. They started to calm down. They started to learn how to deal with. They started to be okay with fighting in court because that was the only thing they could do for their kids. All of a sudden, it was like the ex went from this calm, collected mastermind type of person to a total nutcase, like going to appointments and saying things that are outrageous, doing things in front of teachers that are nuts, things that were all of a sudden they find that they have so much evidence they can't decide which one's the best because their ex is doing crazy things that are being caught on camera, done in front of witnesses. It's like rather than get harder, it gets easier, and that's because as things unravel for the high conflict ex, as they are unable to get what they want, which is conflict, as they are deprived of what they need, they themselves unravel as a person because the whole time they really weren't anything separate from the conflict. They didn't have a sort of sense of self. They didn't have anything else going on. It was the fight was who they are. And as the fight ends, as the fight starts to slow down, as they fail to generate the conflict that they needed from the fight, they themselves start to evaporate. They start to implode. Sam Vaknin has a video specific to NPDs, which is not just the only thing I cover in this channel, but specific to NPDs. He has a video on what he calls the collapsed narcissist, and it talks about how this happens, and that's just with that one specific type of high conflict ex. There are a number of different types of high conflict exes with all sorts of mental health issues, but anyway, they don't get the conflict, and so they themselves start to unravel, and they do get worse. They do things that are, I would say, worse in the sense that they do it in front of people now. And it gets a lot easier for you to deal with that problem because now you have what you didn't have before, which is a number of witnesses and hopefully documentation, photos. It depends on what, the context of what you're going through. But in my particular situation, it happened in the context of witnesses. Like I got the dentist to come to court and testify. And I mean, there were photos I used as well, but it was really the dentist, the expert witness, who just hit it out of the park for me. Anyway, I wanted to tell my viewers that it typically happens this way for all of us, and that's because the one thing that's a common theme amongst all of these high conflict exes is mental health problems and is the attachment to the conflict as their sense of self. And so if you are able to really stay the course and focus, and you're able to navigate the legal system, because it's mandatory. You cannot do this without the legal system because they will just do whatever they feel like doing, and you can't force them to do anything unless it's through the force of law. If you try to use any other type of force, they're going to use the force of law against you. So if you are able to get some headway in the legal system and focus and stay the course over the course of a number of years, unfortunately that's how long it takes typically, you should start to see this problem. And I don't know what else to tell you except that the purpose of this video is just to explain the problem. Actually, I do know what else to tell you. Watch all the other videos, because all of the other videos help you deal with this problem. The stuff that's intuitive, you don't really need my videos for. Things that are just common sense, you figure those out on your own. The counterintuitive stuff, that's where you need my videos. For example, right or refusal. That's a counterintuitive approach to this problem. That's not the first thing somebody is going to think. Vehemently opposing right or refusal a lot of times doesn't sound good, and you have to explain why to really get somebody to get to that point. Some judges have figured it out, but usually those are the judges who've been on the bench for years, and they have seen the catastrophic effects that right or refusal has on a high conflict case. Anyway, I think I have made my point with this video. I hope that it is useful to my viewers. I hope that it at least underlines the importance of following the advice in the other videos, even though this video itself doesn't really put forth a solution. All of the other videos that I put out there do. So definitely post something down in the comments below if you have any kind of question, or even if you have advice for some of my other viewers, and I will see you guys next time.